The phrase X ride is closing is one of the worst things to hear as a theme park fan, but this is one of the rare occasions where that phrase is met with unanimous joy. Fast and Furious Supercharged is rumored to be closing down after a temporary closure starting in August that will then roll down to the HHN season, Halloween Horror Nights, which lasts until November. Let's start with a quick history lesson before I get deeper into my thoughts on the ride. In 2008, a massive fire broke out in Universal Studios Hollywood. The fire destroyed the King Kong encounter, which has been a staple of the Universal Studio Tour since it opened in 1986.
He wins.
A replacement for this attraction that will be of the same caliber is a tall order, but in 2010, King Kong 360 3D opened in its stead. King Kong 360 3D took inspiration from the Peter Jackson version of King Kong, and with the use of a track, a 360-degree screen, and special effects, the ride created a pretty unique experience for the time. This attraction will be later brought to Orlando as Skull Island Reign of Kong in 2016 and will be placed in Universal's Islands of Adventure. The Universal Studio Tour is an important attraction because it takes people to the history of films and allows guests to see how it's made by taking part in experiences littered throughout the tour. While it was tragic to lose the Kong encounter, King Kong 360 3D was a replacement that was both groundbreaking and a loving tribute to what came before. But if you give people an inch, they'll take a mile because in 2015, Fast and Furious Supercharged opened at Universal Studios Hollywood as the last stop in the studio tour. To say that people didn't like Fast and Furious Supercharged will be the understatement of the century. A lot of the criticisms toward the attraction can be pinpointed to three things: the performance and effects, the ride itself, and its placement in the studio tour. The studio tour is about experiencing the history of cinema and hopefully getting a new appreciation for it. But that vibe gets disrupted once you see Dom Toretto manhandling a drone while screaming, "Family."
Only on the studio.
Or showcase the best special effects of the art form, to then see horrible CGI that is comparable to MODOK. 100 years of art that shows how these creatives took the film industry by storm, and then that ends with actors that are just doing a job. A vibe that hilariously juxtaposes their excitement for the ride during behind the scenes content and interviews. So with all of this criticism being thrown at the attraction, Universal decided to do something about it. Bring it to Orlando. In 2018, Fast and Furious Supercharged opened as a standalone attraction in the San Francisco area of Universal Studios, Florida. It was a one-to-one copy of what it was in the studio tour in Hollywood. Usually this would be an obvious decision because why wouldn't you just clone a ride that was pretty much done? But with the criticism thrown against it in Hollywood, there was a false assumption that things would be changed at least a little bit, but the only things that were changed were the coast it was located at and a flashy ride building. This leads directly to the only thing I like about the ride building. At first glance, it seems like an eyesore, but I really enjoy how true to life it feels. Also, a garage being the place before you embark on an action attraction is pretty genius. While you gawk at every detail, you'll hear songs like Gasolina and other songs that feature throughout the franchise. Even the team members during the pre-show scenes play into the underwhelming material and guest expectations with relative ease. They sometimes overplay the serious moments or crack jokes that stay in line with their cues as they interact with the pre-recorded film, truly taking the most sour of lemons and making the most delicious lemonade. Ironically enough, this makes both experiences on either coast feel uniform in how guests feel before and after riding it. In the studio tour, you're seeing and experiencing 100 years of filmmaking, and it ends off with disappointment. In Orlando, you're taking a really nice ride building that seems to be sculpted with love and care to then be disappointed by the ride itself. In my experience, the ride broke down twice. Thankfully without anyone in the ride, to my knowledge. The first time was after eating lunch at Finnegan's. We were about to head into the ride building, but then we were met with a sign saying it was closed. The second time, we were about to get on the right vehicle before the overhead announcement started up, saying that they will be closed for maintenance. That could be one of the reasons why they're closing the ride for a while, but I'll put a pin on that. When I finally got the chance to experience it for myself, I was pretty disappointed. Not because it was a party bus that moves pretty slow while the ride films an action-packed thrill ride. I knew that before going in. What was disappointing was the fact that there's a meta to enjoying the ride. Crazy, huh? Despite being a 360-degree ride, you need to choose the right seats because all the action happens on one side of the screen. And if you're in the middle or even a little askew, you'll either miss out on everything or have your vision limited. Meaning, you waited in line for nothing. If you're a normal person who doesn't obsess over theme park lore, I obsess over theme park lore, you'd be shit out of luck. But if you're in the know, you can at least be mentally prepared and hope the gacha gods are on your side when getting a seat. With all that being said, it's shocking that it's taken 6 years for rumors like these to show up. I mean, out of all the rides to close down in Universal Florida, I would have put money on Race Through New York with Jimmy Fallon, not because I don't like the ride, at least it has a nice AC, but Universal has been dealing with an ongoing lawsuit with the ride's original manufacturer. That's a story for another day though. So Fast and Furious closing down is kind of a surprise, even if it's a horrible ride. One theory that makes the most sense is that Universal is trying to cut costs to compensate for the construction of its new park. Universal Epic Universe is scheduled to be done and ready by next year, and there's been a lot of talk about the budget being blown out of its original parameters. This is corroborated by the fact that Skull Island and Reign of Kong has been testing an alternate ride film that's 2D instead of the original 3D. Even Poseidon's Fury's sudden and head-scratching closure, it was closed temporarily for refurbishment before being closed down almost immediately, as to this. So if they're trying to save money to put into Epic Universe, you would close down the ride that's constantly being closed down for repairs. A lot of this is expanded upon in the article Fast and Furious Supercharged closing temporarily in August by Annie Wilson from Universal Park News Today. If they were going to close down the ride permanently, the second question after why is, what are they going to replace it with? With the budget cuts Universal Orlando is going through, it's tough to say. Most likely, we'll get more information about this once the Universal Epic Universe opens next year. Thanks for watching. I've always wanted to talk about Fast and Furious Supercharged, and I'm always looking for an excuse to talk about Universal Orlando in general. So, when I saw the article show up on my Twitter feed, I thought, why the hell not? If you like this video and want to see more, consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my next upload. I'd like to thank my patrons, Leocrit, RetroRoy, Hack13, Neosai, Burbsai, the channel with the fiercely long name, and Hachi, for supporting the channel. And for $1 a month, your name will show up right here on top of early access to new videos. Love you guys and shamalamoomoo.